I think the most basic step of humanity and of culture is understanding and putting yourself in others' perspective, right?
All right, what's up, y'all? This is The Vibes. I got my boy Jordan Hicks in here, captain of that defense. We're gonna talk about a little bit of everything, something you guys might not necessarily know about Jordan. We're gonna talk about culture, mental health, leadership, Zach Ertz. We're gonna throw some Zach Ertz in there. But for starters, I did talk to your wife, Ivana Hicks, and see, that's how I got all the juice, man. That's how I got all the info, all the inside info, the captain of that defense. And let's start off with culture, because your wife, Ivana, she's Mexican. So that means your kids, you have two young kiddos, you got a third on the way. They're also gonna be Mexican. But I mean, from the start of your relationship, I mean, you got initiated to the culture, bro. Like now you're Mexican, and that's the way your wife categorized it. She said, you know what, Jordan is basically Mexican now. You know what? What's it been like being immersed into that Hispanic culture?
I love it, man. I love it. It's family first, right? And so, that's how I was brought up. Originally from Ohio, and there's not much, Mexican, Spanish diversity out there from where I'm from specifically. And so when I moved down to Texas, it's everywhere, right? And so it's funny, when we first met, I told her that I didn't like Mexican food. She's like, you like Mexican food? You're getting into this family, you gotta like Mexican food. And I was like, all I know is Chipotle, right? So, that was kind of the first step, was getting me involved with some Mexican food. So she got me, taking me out to dinner and doing different things, had me over for the first time with her whole family. And there is when it all really took off.
I think the first mistake you made right there, bro, is telling her that all you know is Chipotle. Like, trust me, man, we love Chipotle and all of that. But when it comes to Mexican food, come on.
I know now. Yeah.
And you went from food, you know some Spanish, you understand it, obviously, because her family and everything like that. But, man, you have a interesting, I guess, characteristic of liking novelas. So let me show you what your wife said.
Is that right, huh?
Ask him which novela he's watched with me, like a full novela, and he will tell you which one it is. Jordan understands Spanish, he just doesn't speak it.
I gotta remember what it was called.
The important part is you've learned Spanish.
Well, here's the thing. Tres Veces Ana is the one we watched. It was so part of the discussion with my wife is, how do I learn Spanish, right? She's like, you have to speak it, you have to be around it, you have to hear people speak it, right? And so she's got one of her best friends back in Austin that isn't Mexican, doesn't know Spanish, but watched novelas with her and started to pick up on Spanish. So that was kind of my intro. And you know how it is, man. Once you get into a show, you start getting into a show, right? So we started watching it, and we watched the whole
I'm interested to learn from your perspective, because I mean, I grew up with it. My mom's was always into novelas and everything like that. So I know what a novela is, but I'm interested to learn from your perspective. How would you, let's say you run into Isaiah Simmons, hey bro, you should watch this novela. And he's like, what's a novela? What would you tell him?
It's a Spanish soap opera, right? Since speaking Spanish, soap opera that is love story 100%. That usually has a, love story ending where it's happily ever after. Again, I've only watched one. But from what I hear, that is how they go. And tell me if I'm wrong.
No, I mean, you're perfectly right. That's the way it is. There's drama. I think
a lot of drama,
a lot of like
twists and turns every
my husband slept with this person, type of drama. I mean, but part of learning Spanish, and now you have two kids, a third on the way, like I mentioned, a little girl. Which, by the way, I mean, you have 2 younger boys, but the little girl gonna get you.
I
Huh?
can imagine. I already know.
She's
She's already starting to.
Yeah, she's gonna
not
get
even
you.
here
It's, just talking to Ivana, she's like, oh my gosh, she went to the ultrasound, and he was like, oh my gosh, she's so precious. And she was like, oh Lord, not
She
already.
knows.
Yeah,
She
it's
knows.
already starting.
Yeah.
But now you have 2 little kids.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're multicultural. From your perspective, it's interesting the way that Ivana put it.
Jordan's like, you know, I want them to work hard and appreciate the things that they have, because it's not easy for everyone. Very important that they're like immersed culturally, which is why we start with food, with talking to them in Spanish, with having them at an all Spanish schools.
So, I mean, you touched on, you know, you grew up in Ohio, you didn't know any Spanish going into Austin. Once you got immersed into that culture, everything changed, right?
Yeah.
Well, especially when it came to your relationship and your marriage. But in today's society, how would you categorize the importance of raising children to be multicultural and to embrace it? Not only just, you know, be raised in it, but once they get older to embrace that aspect.
Right.
Of it.
You know, I think being closed-minded and in today's culture and society is, you know, problem number one, right? I think the most basic step of you know, humanity and of culture is understanding and putting yourself in others' perspective, right? And truly hearing, right? I think a lot of the problems that we see today, whether it's political, you know, human rights, is a lot of not wanting to hear the other side and not, you know, opening your ears to the other side. And the ability to be cultured and to understand others' culture and not be closed-minded on certain topics, I think is huge at any point in life. And you know, the earlier you can establish that and understand that not, you know, your walk isn't somebody else's walk, right? Everybody has a different journey and everybody has a different story and culture and come from different backgrounds. And the more you can embrace and try to see yourself and others' perspectives, you know, that's how you better the society.
And one of the other perspectives you essentially learned from, you know, marrying Ivana and being immersed in that culture was some different type of foods that you haven't necessarily tasted. You know, we were talking on the way over here, and Ivana told me that you're a big gorditas lover and you love enchiladas. So what was that feeling like when you took a bite of your first enchilada? Do you remember?
You know, so I had enchiladas before, right, at, you know, local places back in Ohio. But like I said, the go-to wasn't Mexican food, right? And so when I got down to Austin was very Tex-Mex, but it wasn't like true Mexican, right? It's Tex-Mex. It's a little different. So you got places down there like Chewy's and you know, these different Tex-Mex spots that everybody would hit. But when I really had a true, you know, Mexican home style enchilada, right?
I was about to say the homemade.
That was the difference, right? And you know, that's what my senior year was. Sunday nights, we'd play on Saturday, we'd come in, watch the film, and Sunday nights would be at Ivana's family's house. They're all from Austin, big Mexican family, and it was, you know, we're going over there, we're playing video games with the cousins, and we're eating good food. And it was all homemade, it was all, so, you know, that, being immersed in it, you fall in love.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit. I'm a big believer of taking care of, in Marshawn Lynch's words, of your mentals. You know, when we talk about mental health at a professional level, it kind of gets like glossed over a little bit. Like people mention it just to mention it, kind of check the box and whatnot. But talking to Ivana, it seems like you're really focused on your personal mental health, not only for your performance on the field, but also off the field. So let's hear from her and see.
He's done, I think, a really good job at reaching out to either friends or his like mentors or pastors to walk with him through situations that I personally can't help him with.
So just, In general, how can you describe why it's important to take care of your mind?
Yeah, I mean, on a stage like this and walking in life, right? It's never easy when you have so many things to balance, right? You've got football, career, aspirations. Then you got off the field where family, kids, being a husband, family back at home that you're trying to juggle. All these different things coming at you. And if you don't take care of yourself mentally, first off, the one thing I notice is I'm not fun to be around, right? I'm not fun to be around at all. Coronavirus hit, we were in lockdown, and the number one thing I felt, right, and many people that I know felt, was that being locked down and not having that embrace of other people and being able to be around other people, puts you in a state of isolation, right? And being isolated in any circumstance, to me, is not beneficial. I do better when I'm out, when I'm with people, when I'm seeking, help. And I don't have all the answers. You acknowledge the fact personally that you don't have all the answers, and there's people in your life that are there and are placed there to help you walk through things, and that's why I've always put a large part and a large focus on surrounding myself and creating a team of people that are there at all times, and that have the same beliefs as me, and that can speak and pour into my life when I need help, and when they think I need help. So,
and you sought out help. I think that's
yes.
the most important part. A lot of people, that's the first step in my opinion, to seek it out. Not necessarily know that you need help, but to seek it.
Right.
Zach Ertz got to the Valley, man, and it changes the energy, right? In the locker room, that's another veteran, that's another leader. When we talk about Zach Ertz or Jordan Hicks, it always goes to leadership. But what amazes me is he lives 5 minutes away from you, right? He's always over. Ivana says that you always, want to hang out with him off the field. So why has it been important to have not just a teammate like Zach Ertz, but to have a best friend essentially in the same locker room, in the same city, with the same organization?
Man, it's me and Zach, whether he's here or not, we're walking through life together. Speaking on the topic of mental health and going into, having friends and people that you're walking life with. He's one of those people for me, right? We went through a lot in the 4 years in Philly together. Highs, lows, injuries, family, seeing families grow, him and Julie being apart, having him over all the time, and just growing as friends and as guys who are holding each other accountable in all aspects of life. So, to have somebody like him personally here, living 5 minutes away, right, is huge, man. It brings a peace. It brings somebody that you can lean on, again, if things are going good, if things are going bad. And again, he's one of my best friends, man. It's fun to have him here.
Since early in his career, he was thrown into this position his rookie year, and he's thrived in it. He just handles tough situations really well.
Bro, I kid you not. I feel like that comes so natural to you. I mean, if the team is struggling, I always see you talking in the media. After a big win, I see you talking in the media. The way you handle things throughout your career, whether it's getting injured your rookie year, now you're the quarterback of that Philadelphia defense as a rookie. You have a veteran in that locker room when you were with the Eagles that helped you, obviously. Now you get to Arizona. You get here where they're starting to rebuild a little bit. And fast forward 3 years, I mean, you guys are a contending team. Like I mentioned, the way you handle things in the offseason. Why does that come so natural to you? I mean, I know you give the basic, I'm just doing what I ask, but if you can dig deep and really get to the bottom of why leadership comes so natural to you.
I've always I don't know, man. Ever since I can remember, and most people at this level, as far as you can remember, you've usually been the best one on your team, right? Something in me, and idols that I grew up watching, right? Michael Jordan. You know, he was by far my favorite athlete growing up. Not even close. Wanted to do everything like him. Wanted to do everything, you know, that he did. Wear the clothes, all the stuff, right? Everybody that I looked to growing up, everybody that you know, that I tried to emulate growing up, had some type of exceptional leadership skill. As far back as I can remember, I've always seen myself as that and always tried to be that person for teams and for guys, right? Speak into people, be positive, and you know, it's not always that, right? What you see in the media and all that stuff isn't always the truth, right? There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, but at the end of the day, right? You know, when you have a decision to make and you come to the fork in the road, who are you going to be? You know, to me, the fallback is always, you know, the high road, you know, and falling back on the values that I truly believe in, and that's, you know, being humble and being appreciative and staying focused.
Quickly, what's the biggest similarities between that Eagles championship team compared to the squad you have in this locker room? A lot of similarities, obviously, but
Yeah.
What would you say?
It's definitely the mindset. You know, there's a confidence when you go out on the field that really good teams have, and teams in this position have, and it's a matter of we're going out here and we're not going to lose, right? Now, mistakes happen, all that stuff happens, and sometimes it doesn't go the way you want, but the confidence level and the mindset, to me, separates you know, the mediocre teams to the really good teams that are going to be contenders. And, you know, from there, it's execution, leadership, and all that stuff. But, you know, to me, it's the difference in mindset that we have this year. And it starts with the veteran guys that we've been able to bring in and the leaders on the team setting the pace.
All right, Jordan, appreciate you joining the Vibes. We got to know everything from culture, mental health, your relationship with Zach, and obviously the team performance this year. So I appreciate you. Best of luck this season. Hey, knock it out.
Appreciate it.